2023. Please rise if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing and join with us in a moment of silence. You'll notice that Councilman Scavone isn't present with us tonight because he recently lost his mother. Tommy John Scavone's mother, Ann O'Rourke Scavone, passed away exactly a week ago tonight on June 20th. It's also exactly 2 years to the day after the death of Tommy John's father, Fran. In addition to Tommy John, she was mother to children Fran, Matt, Ted, and Catherine, grandmother to 9. I'm not going to name all the grandchildren. Her love of family and friends was everything to her. She was full of generosity and the life of the party. She was the grand matriarch of the Scavone family and an enormous presence who will be missed dearly. Her funeral took place earlier today at St. Andrew's Roman Catholic Church in Sag Harbor. So let's send our thoughts and prayers to the Scavone family and join in the memory of Ann O'Rourke Scavone in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Schneiderman.
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Present.
Councilman Martell.
Present.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Scavone. Zeros.
Okay, first order of business, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the town board meeting of June 13th, 2023.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right. Before we do communications, there's 2 additional resolutions I'd like to add to the packet. The first one is 43663. It ratifies a suspension without pay and appoints a hearing officer. And 43679 is our 12th warrant. So I'll make a motion to add those 2 resolutions onto our agenda.
Second.
Second, this will require unanimous vote in this case, seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we'll take those up at the end. Madam Clerk, could you read the communications to us?
Certainly. We have received the following communications in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the village of Sag Harbor, a notice of adoption, financial disclosure statement filings from the listed individuals, and emails and letters, correspondence regarding the following. Notice of aquatic herbicide treatment of Donahue Park, Riverhead. Objection to Resolution 2023-780, contract amendment with NPV. Proposed daytime beach driving pilot program. Proposed fire department substation on Upper Seven Ponds Road, Watermill. Proposed lithium battery storage facility in Hampton Bays. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
All right, thank you, Cindy. All right, so we're going to move on to public hearings. We have 3 public hearings scheduled for this evening. Then we also have public portion. And this is a hybrid meeting, so everybody here will have an opportunity to be heard. But we also have an audience online, and they also will be able to have their comments known to the town board. So, gentlemen, you had a question? No.
Just real quick, are those mics on? Because I'm old and deaf, but I'm having a hard time hearing. Or are they just for the TV?
Charlie, I don't know if you're able to turn up any amplification, but
Okay.
they're for our recording.
Okay,
I'll try to talk a little bit louder. All right. Okay, so, Madam Clerk, would you read the first public hearing notice?
Certainly. Public hearing number 1, to amend Town Code, Chapter 283, Special Events, in order to enhance enforcement ability, clarify definitions, and restructure application procedures.
All right, thank you, Sunny. So, Assistant Town Attorney Sean Cambridge will introduce us.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, members of the town board. This is a notice to amend our special events code. If you'll all recall, we had a series of public hearings on this already. We received lots of commentary from members of the public, which is exactly what these proceedings are designed for. We receive comments and we can tailor the law based on public comments. In this instance, we eliminated two provisions addressing properties with development rights and ag reserves. We've eliminated those provisions from the other approvals section of this code. The rest of these updates are substantive, including title updates. Previously, we had these applications processed in the office of the town clerk. They are now processed by the fire marshal, police department, and division of emergency management. We've refined definitions to include indoor events. Our previous code said outdoor events, which is inconsistent with permitting and enforcement of special events. Absolutely, we could have an indoor special event. So we made the code match what the town's policies are on these types of proceedings. We've included things like parking plans and safety plans, so when emergency responders have to respond to something that's gone wrong, they know exactly where to respond, where their entrance points are, and how to render aid effectively. Are there any questions to these updates?
Any questions from the board? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor.
All right, I don't have any cards filled out for this public hearing, this first public hearing on special event code changes. Is there anyone who didn't fill out a card who wanted to be heard? Okay, we'll go online. If you're watching this from home or office or other remote location and you wish to be heard at public hearing number 1, which is limited only to special event legislation, you need to click the raise hand icon normally found at the bottom toward the center of your screen, and then we will bring you in.
I have no hands.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We don't need to leave this open, right? We can close it. All right, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we move on to the second public hearing notice. Madam Clerk?
Public hearing number 2, to amend Town Code, Chapter 312-20, to designate no parking on the center median of Maryland Boulevard, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, and once again, Assistant Town Attorney Sean Cambridge will introduce us.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Members of the board, this was brought to us by the Highway Department as a safety concern. They had requested no parking on the median, citing traffic hazards, people pulling out, pedestrians, etc. That is why this is on. If the board's inclined to adopt, there is a resolution of adoption on for the 7/11, 1 p.m. meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions? All right, thank you, Sean. I do have one card on this. Tim Wilson. Tim, are you here? Come forward, please. For our transcript, if you just state your name at the beginning.
Good evening, my name is Tim Wilson. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I live at 59 Maryland Boulevard. Thanks for letting me have the opportunity to speak today. I've lived on Maryland Boulevard for 22 years. The property's been in the family longer than that. Most of you know me, I'm a local guy. You see me around, I think, here and there, right, Rick? The reason I'm here is because there has been a proposition to officially make the median in front of my house and many other houses on Maryland Boulevard a no parking zone. I just heard this gentleman read that it's a hazardous condition. I don't necessarily agree with that being true. When vehicles park on the median on Maryland Boulevard, it allows free access for the lanes of vehicle to travel east and west. If you were to block certain times or certain vehicles from being able to park in that vehicle, those vehicles would still be allowed to park legally on the right-hand side of the road, which would basically obstruct the normal flow of traffic. That would create more of a hazard. I've been with the police department for 22 years. There's been like 3 accidents on Maryland Boulevard in the last 22 years that I've lived on the block. So it's not necessarily a hazardous condition. Aesthetically speaking, yes, people are upset there's a lot of cars parking there. Yes, it's associated with probably the children in their non-senior year of school parking there and getting access to the high school. I just hope that we don't vote on anything just yet. From what I understand, you're not even going to vote on it until the next meeting. I would like maybe more discussion as to find a reasonable resolution to try and adjust the parking area in the situation. For example, I also own a landscaping company when I'm not doing the police work, and a landscaping vehicle can't service the neighborhood there by parking on the right-hand side of the road because they're going to be out for 15, 25, 30 minutes in that area. If they park in the median, cars go by without a problem. They park on the right-hand side of the road, you have vehicles driving over the median, and that probably causes more of a hazardous condition than the other condition that currently exists. So I would just ask that maybe an open discussion between maybe the people in the neighborhood. I know there's been a lot of complaints on it because of what I do and what I've heard. But I do think that just automatically blanketing the whole situation with not being able to park there right now without some sort of adjustment for service vehicles is probably short-sighted.
Okay.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Tim, if
Thank
you
sir.
could just stay there for a second. So the road is pretty narrow to begin with.
It is, sir.
So are they allowed to park on the shoulder per se at night?
No, you're not allowed to park at 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. anywhere in Hampton Bays.
So is it an enforcement issue that we're not enforcing it in evenings and we could force them onto the driveways in the evening and they wouldn't have to park in the middle, or is this just
Well, being a police
24
officer.
hours a day?
The situation, from what I understand, and the complaint is that it's from the high school kids parking there, because several kids get their senior licenses or their official privileges to drive when they're in their junior year of high school. There's nowhere for them to park. That's the problem. For me, personally speaking, usually every year I've had one of the juniors come up to me and say, Mr. Wilson, I know you got a spot in your parking lot in my driveway. I let them park in my driveway. I'm running out of that time because my kid's going to be driving in December, and after that I got 6 in a row. So they're going to be parking there nonstop in my own personal vehicle. But I would say at night you still see vehicles in the median. They shouldn't be parking there from the 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. I know the town police department very well, and they are going to actively enforce that. But I know there's people complaining about the daytime parking, which has to be addressed somehow to placate or make the situation better for everyone. It's not a hazardous condition, it's an aesthetic condition.
Do you see maybe like a 2-hour parking restriction as a?
I don't know that necessarily would be an option because the kids are in school from 7:30 a.m. to about 2:30 p.m.
But that would keep them from parking there and allow service vehicles to park.
Yeah, I mean, a time frame, like a minimum, you can park here for an hour and delineate service vehicles only. I could see that alleviating the problem for the service vehicles only. I would see that being a viable solution. But then when are you going to have a sign that has 17 lines long saying no parking here unless you're a service vehicle for 1 hour only? It's just, there's so many different things. There's so much more to talk about before you vote on it, I would
Okay.
say. I would ask you to table it until there's more discussion on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, that's the only part I have on this public hearing on Maryland Boulevard.
Sue?
Is there anyone who didn't fill out a card who wanted to be heard on this? All right, let's go to our online audience. If you're looking to be heard at public hearing number 2 on no parking along the center median of Maryland Boulevard in Hampton Bays, click the raise hand icon.
No hands.
Okay, Rick, what do you want to do here? Do you want to leave it open?
for the
or-
next
Yeah,
meeting?
I want to leave it open for the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from more of the neighbors, if they'll come. Okay, so why don't we make a motion to adjourn the hearing to the next meeting? What day is the next?
July 11th.
July 11th, it's a daytime meeting?
Daytime meeting, 1 p.m.
Is that okay?
Is that okay, Drew?
That would be great.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so the motion, I'll make a motion to adjourn to July 11th, seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to public hearing number 3, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing number 3 for enforcement action at 6 Ashwood Court, North Sea, Southampton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 961-1-19.2 to remove hazardous accumulation of material.
All right, Assistant Town Attorney Sean Cambridge, once again.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Members of the board, this is an enforcement action. On June 2nd, 2023, the homeowner of 6 Ashwood Court was arraigned in the Southampton Town Justice Court before Honorable Judge Gary Weber for violating multiple provisions of the town code, including change of use from a residence to a pool company. 10 days later, on June 12th, 2023, our hazmat team was deployed to this address for a chlorine explosion. Hazmat mitigation had to occur shortly thereafter. They had to neutralize pool chemicals and effectuate a cleanup. I'm not going to speak further regarding the Justice Court matter as there is a pending prosecution. This action before the board is to clean up any containers, debris, chemicals that may be left over that are not deemed hazardous material but are still waste on that property. From what I hear, the homeowner has taken this very seriously. I advise we do not like to speak twice when it comes to public safety. He was on notice. He now, from what I understand, through his attorney, Mr. Kaloran, is acting appropriately and is looking to put this incident behind him. His attorney forwarded me several pictures today that show the property very much cleaned up from the incident on June 12th. That being said, this hearing is to accept comments from the public and to authorize an enforcement action. God forbid some of these things end up back on site. We want the ability to forcibly remove them. So there is a resolution on for the next town board meeting, 7/11 at 1 p.m. I would urge the board to pass that resolution. We do not have to do a cleanup for things that are not there, but it does give the town the ability to remove things should these hazardous materials again begin to accumulate on site.
I'm not particularly comfortable with that assumption that they'll return.
They
So-
are not supposed to return. We were presented
So-
with a lease from the homeowner's attorney saying he's secured a
I mean,
commercial site.
It sounds like the homeowner is acting in good faith and cleaning up the property.
At this point, yes, we would have liked him to act
And the-
sooner.
And the notice, the public hearing notice specifically speaks to hazardous accumulation of hazardous materials, which you say are not present on the property right now.
Currently,
So
correct.
why would we adopt a resolution that is erroneous?
Well-
If this acted in a way to motivate the property owner to clean up the property, then that's great. It did its job. I don't know that we would need to authorize you to take enforcement action over something that, conditions that don't currently exist.
I understand your position, Mr. Supervisor. On June 12th, there were simply too many materials to take. These were pool chemicals. So the pool chemicals that were not affected and part of the hazmat cleanup were stored in a shed. We had them removed from a garage with an unpermitted accessory apartment above it. So my concern is that these materials will return to that garage area or the driveway exposed to the weather conditions. So it's your decision as a board. I would urge you to authorize this, though, being that we're already on notice. This individual had 10 days' notice to remove materials, and then
Just
unfortunately,
For the record, I'm uncomfortable with the assumption that somebody will violate the law in the future.
understood.
I just,
I think this is also at the recommendation of the head of code enforcement, the department head. It's not an assumption that he'll violate, it's a belts and suspenders in case it happens.
And they haven't had the opportunity to formally.
I'm just saying I'm not comfortable with that, but that's okay.
Understood.
All right, we have one card on this.
Thank you.
Donna Kremborg.
Good evening. I always say a picture's so 1,000 words.
give those
If you'd like to just
card?
pass these down. I'm a big picture fan. What you're seeing there is on the date of June 12th.
Can you speak at the podium?
Yes, sir. I should know better.
You need to pass these back to me once you know what.
Okay. Good evening, Town Supervisor Schneiderman, to the rest of the board. I thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Donna Kremborg, and I am here tonight as a lifelong resident of North Sea. I am extremely upset about the incident that occurred on June 12th, in which my opinion could have been completely avoided. Numerous calls and complaints have been made to the code enforcement and to fire marshals for over 2 years. This gentleman did not just start this a few months ago. Those tickets, obviously, that's what they're able to give is tickets at this time, and I realize that the courts do not have any further action. But, let me see, I lost my spot, I'm sorry. Which does not resolve the imminent danger that this scene posed to not only the nearby residents of this neighborhood, but to all of the volunteer firefighters and to the ambulance responders who spent their entire day there and not knowing what they were breathing in and inhaling. The pool owner company did not even know the chemicals that he had mixed. So as a member of 2 ambulances, I pride myself on 20 years of volunteering. And we pride ourselves on being proactive in keeping our community safe. As volunteers, we spend hours, weeks, years, and years of training to constantly be prepared for emergencies and become as qualified as possible to as many scenarios as possible. but to never have to face the risk that this business owner put us in that day. When a complaint like this is brought to the attention of the town of Southampton, I feel an action needs to be taken immediately. Unfortunately, at this time, it is an appearance ticket and a court date. That obviously he was issued that ticket. The only reason why that cleanup happened is because of the unfortunate incident of an explosion that woke up a neighbor. Thank God it was during the day and not at night. These dangers, those pictures that you are looking at, you'll see what looks like fire mist. That is called off-gassing. That is caustic fumes. That is extremely dangerous and can be fatal to human life, hazards to the wildlife and our precious groundwater. Not to mention the residents that were living in the illegal apartment above all these chemicals. IDLH means imminent danger to life or health, which means an atmosphere that poses an immediate threat to life can be irreversible adverse health effects and or with impair the ability to escape this dangerous atmosphere. If you can smell it as you unknowingly arrive, it's possibly too late. Can you imagine if this explosion had happened in the middle of the night? I know children that were above there. I know neighbors that were asleep with their children in their homes. These pool chemicals are extremely dangerous, and the owner, again, like I said, could not even identify which chemicals got mixed. That's disturbing in itself. I'm here tonight to please ask the town to make sure that a situation like this cannot happen again. In a situation where an appearance ticket, I think, is unacceptable. I understand if a lawn is overgrown. Yes, this is posing life dangers to our volunteers, our neighbors, our environment, and our precious groundwater. We don't know what's in the background. So I'll try to shorten this up. The situation was severe enough to where I feel like more than an appearance ticket should be done. I trust Sean Cambridge. I did have the pleasure of speaking to him. He did
30
explain to the
seconds.
process to me. And the worst thing, I'll just end this with that, is when pool chemicals, chlorine and acid create a deadly gas. Mixing different chlorine types can explode when moisture is added. So this led to multiple consequent explosions while the fire department was on scene for the second time. Thank you for your time, and I hope we can resolve this so we don't run into this in the future.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service, Donna.
To Maryland. What? This isn't related to this public hearing, is it?
Okay, that's the only card I have on this. Is there anyone else who wanted to be heard on
Yes.
public hearing number 3? We'll go online. We're on public hearing number 3, authorizing enforcement action at 6 Ashwood Court in North Sea. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard at this public hearing who is listening online?
I have someone.
Hi, I would like to speak.
Can you hear me?
I can't see you, but I did just hear you. Give us a second here.
Turn on my video.
Do you have your video on?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me and see me?
I can see you now. Just speak loudly.
Sure, thanks. My name is Noah Carter. I'm a neighbor of 6 Ashwood Court. I live about 500 yards away. I was a witness to this explosion on June 12th. I was sitting out in my yard with my wife and my daughter. I've been living in my house for over 25 years, and we heard an incredibly loud explosion, so loud that I called the police because I had no idea what happened. We then, 5 minutes later, to see what was going on, got in our car and drove over. I wish we hadn't, because the stench of chlorine and gas in the air could burn your eyes. We quickly drove away, called the police again, drove back to our house, and in our house, in our backyard, we could smell the stench of chlorine from this explosion. This was a very, very serious incident, and we were all very lucky that it wasn't far worse. I do believe that the owner of this business needs to be held accountable, and the severity of this incident needs to be understood. I'm very concerned that this individual does not care about the law and does not care about our groundwater and does not care about the danger that he put myself, my family, and the first responders in on that day. There were at least 50 cars parked on Major's Path outside of this, next to this incident on that day. This was a terrible, terrible incident and could have been a huge tragedy. And I only hope that this panel will treat this incident with the severity that it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else?
No, sir.
Sean, you looking, it's okay to close it?
You certainly could close this. There is a resolution on the 7/11 meeting to authorize this. We hope not to have to do a cleanup. If there are no materials on site, there is nothing to clean up. There will be no tax levy. This, again, is just to authorize the Division of Public Safety to do
That's not
this
before
if
us tonight.
necessary.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, it sounds like this person ran an illegal business out of his home and
Correct.
put a lot of people at risk.
And
Eh,
like I said, we were
so-
aware of
so it-
additional chemicals in a shed.
So in terms of enforcement actions, we already have the situation where somebody ran an illegal business and put the community at risk, so, and that's working its way through the court
That
now?
is, yes, that's a pending prosecution. It's not to be discussed here, because it is a sealed pending prosecution for now. However.
But
our
that's where the
concern-
consequences lie.
Yes, that's correct,
Right.
Mr. Supervisor.
I'm still a little bit concerned about,
There's a hope that in 2 weeks we won't need to
yeah,
put
hopefully not.
a resolution on.
We hope
If
not
we
to.
can- if
Normally,
we
we
can in
don't
that time.
authorize you to take an enforcement action against something that might occur. I've never seen that before in
But it gives us,
24
it
years.
gives us time to address the situation and make sure that everything is off-site, everything is cleaned up, and then we can make the decision.
So we could close the
We
hearing,
can close the hearing,
Certainly.
absolutely.
but
There
it
is
just
no
seems like the
action.
remedy
no
here is
action
in the
tonight.
court.
The remedy is going to be in the court, we hope. If for some reason these chemicals return by the next town board meeting, this board will have an ability to act. You know,
You can authorize an injunction or other remedy.
it's only
Well,
within
we
the
could-
past few days this site's been cleaned up. It was not clean at the point when we noticed this public hearing.
Well, can I ask you a question about that? Because you showed
Certainly,
us a
Councilman.
picture that the outside was cleaned up. What assurances do the neighbors have that there's nothing
Garage.
still stored internally behind the doors that are photographed closed?
Right now, nothing. We're
And that's
working
the
through the
issue.
court action to secure a compliance inspection that would have to be voluntary. Otherwise, we would need a warrant to walk into a place like that. Like I said, this homeowner is cooperative at this point. I believe he's going to do the right thing. This hearing today is in case he does the wrong thing. In case these chemicals return, you'll have already had a hearing, you'll have already discussed these consequences, and you'll be able to take action on the next town board meeting if required.
So do we have a full site inspection ready to go? or-
Scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay.
So I sponsored this enforcement action because I had been speaking with the neighbors for several weeks before the explosion happened, and we were through the process of legally ticketing, multiple vehicles in the roadway and ticketing them for, there was debris in the street, it was quality of life issues for that entire neighborhood for an extended period of time. And it finally got to the point where I do believe that had it not been for that explosion, it would still be slowly working its way to the court, and we would still be getting basically ignored on what we were asking to have done.
And this cleanup only happened after we noticed this for enforcement.
But, ordinance enforcement, if somebody violates the code, you're already authorized to go and take action. You don't need this to do that. If you see the canisters being brought there, you can go and, they can't do that. That's illegal. You can enforce the code now. Normally, a resolution like this is when somebody doesn't clean up a property, and we authorize you to go in, clean it up, and put the bill on their tax bill.
That's what this was.
Or maybe if a house is a dangerous house and we're gonna go knock it down
Correct.
because the property owner refuses to take care of a dangerous structure. This is a little bit different. You're telling the board that the person has actually cleaned up the property. and the hazardous
To the
conditions
extent
don't
that we-
exist,
To the extent that we can see.
but they might exist in the future, but if they did
They could.
exist in the future, there's nothing preventing you from taking enforcement action.
No, I'd have
You want to be able to
renotice the
physically
site review.
remove the materials if it happens. I sort of understand it, I just gotta, I
Right,
need
so
time to.
again, at the time, this notice was filed before this board, everything remained on site. This notice prompted the cleanup on site here. So, it's not really what we like to see. We like to see people, after they're arraigned in court, and they're put on notice of their charges, of violations of the local law, that they go and take action. This took 10 days, an explosion to happen, and a notice of enforcement action for this person to clean this property up. It's unacceptable from a public safety standpoint.
So would it make sense to leave the public hearing open until the next meeting where we can basically reference for the record whether or not the site visit was sufficient and the property is cleaned up, and then we can close the record with that in the record,
I would
that it's
recommend
kind of a
that.
finished?
Leave the hearing open?
You could always
Until the
withdraw
next
the
meeting.
resolution if there's nothing to clean up on our next town board meeting, but I would recommend you leave this hearing open and let the folks who are affected by this voice their opinions to the board.
And you can make a record of the fact if he's in compliance or not, and it's part of the official record if you in fact don't proceed to the resolution.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, Don, if you want to come back, that's fine.
Just want to clarify a few things. I know we've said a lot about him cleaning up. The cleanup effectively was because of the explosion.
Of course.
But I would like to ask that the public hearing be open, because I do know that fire marshals, code enforcement, even police officers have given tickets as far back as 2 years ago and recently a year ago. He uses the cul-de-sac, which is a town road, for private parking for his employees, which poses a danger to the neighbors because they can't get ambulance services or fire services. So he is not, he didn't, on good faith, clean this up. He cleaned this up because there was an explosion.
I understand.
So
that.
I would appreciate some more time. I would have had the neighbors with me. However, they're busy doing an EMT class that they're volunteering right now. So I was the spokesperson.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah, no, and my concerns are more like a due process legal question about authorizing enforcement action without evidence.
Yeah.
Well,
I think we should look at the
It's like a search and seizure thing, kind of thing. It's, I need to vet my question with the attorneys and make sure we're not creating any liability for the town.
Understandable.
But
I
what
care
you
about my
described to me, and I was aware of the situation, is quite serious.
They put a lot of volunteers at risk,
Yes.
as well as the neighbors.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's make a motion to adjourn to July 11th. All right, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Cindy, you want a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the public portion. These are all public portion, I know they're on the other. All right, so during public portion, again, each speaker is afforded 3 minutes to make their comments known. We'll go by cards, then we'll go to the online audience, and then if there's no more people who want to be heard, you're welcome to weigh in. So I'm going to hopefully take these in the order that I received them, and the clerk will let you know when you're down to your last 30 seconds. And we just ask that you wrap up. So Bridget Mayer is first, and Donna, I have you again.
Yes, you did.
Okay, Donna, you're second.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget Mara. I live at Cedar Point Road in Hampton Bays. I'm going to talk to you tonight not about the many problems associated with putting a best of this size right smack dab in a residential community. I want to address some of you specifically. I assume that all of you decided to pursue elected positions because you wanted to good for the community. Maybe you still do, or maybe you've lost sight of that noble aspiration. I don't know. At the April Planning Board meeting, one of the engineers from the Canal Southampton Battery Company said that he sympathized with the residents in the area about a BESS going into their community. My guess is he was told not to say that again. But I will tell you, I appreciated his honesty and his sympathy. He validated our concerns. Mr. Martell and Ms. McNamara did the same last night and expressed their commitment to our cause. We thank you, and you must be very proud, because we are. Now, I want to put a certain matter to rest, put it to bed, respectfully. No one wants a lithium battery storage facility in their neighborhood. No one. Now, I know, Mr. Snyderman, you said you wouldn't mind. Respectfully, I really don't think that's true. Remarks have been made that BESS installations are commonplace. Well, I challenge that remark. They are not commonplace yet. They should be, but not yet. But especially of this size, and they receive tremendous resistance from residential communities. In order to get these greener solutions, and we appreciate your commitment, starting off in the wrong direction in the wrong location is likely to backfire for future endeavors. We all want the best for our grandchildren. I know, Mr. Bouvier, you have expressed that. Well, do you want your, I guess I would say, do you want your grandchildren to know that you gave them their future while destroying the lives of other people? I don't know. Bad choices made with good intentions are still bad choices. It takes a person of courage to recognize when a bad choice needs to be reconsidered and rectified. It seems that a few of you have that courage. Now, it seems that a couple of people on this board, or a few people on this board, are unreachable on this point, and I'm not sure why. And that's a rhetorical question I'm putting out there, because I think what I'm hearing is it's mostly related to money, not
30
people's
seconds.
lives. Time? Okay.
30 seconds.
I know some of you will be leaving your positions soon, but I'm not sure why this is, you're so obstinate or contrary to listening to what we have to say. Solar energy can be captured anywhere. Please find a better solution. You want to bring tourism to Hampton Bays? Exit 66 would become an eyesore. Imagine the trip out. Kids, we're almost here. It's right here near this industrial plant. Then we're going to hit the bays and the
3
hotels
minutes.
in the area. It's just not right. We live there.
You need to wrap.
Yeah. I hope this is not a done deal. It should not be a done deal. I wish each of you the best of luck with your conscience. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Donna, you're next. Before you speak, though, let me just say who is on deck. And I'm doing this just to speed things along so that you can queue up behind the speaker. Donna Harland is the second? Okay. Oh, you're not going to speak? Okay. Let me, let's see, you're passing Parker.
You don't have to say the last name, it's okay.
Thank you, Parker. Okay.
Good evening, Town Board. I'm still Donna Kremborg. I'm still a lifelong resident of North Sea. I come to you tonight because I have been very diligent in acting with Bridget Fleming and, as you all know, of the North Sea Road Project. I did a field visit with the county, and they are looking to install the shoulders and adding a sidewalk. I come to you now asking, is there any way the town can get involved to hold public hearings when it's a county project? Because after seeing the dimensions actually lined out onto North Sea Road, thank you to this board, our ambulance headquarters is being constructed as we speak, and we're very grateful and looking forward to moving in. With this sidewalk and with these shoulders being extended, we are going to have a heck of a time responding to our barn and our ambulances trying to get out and be efficient as we can in response times. So I think it's counterproductive to have a nice new facility but not be able to get to it. Because once you take up these tire shoulders, cars will not be able to yield to the volunteers. They're proposing parking on the east side of the road past our ambulance barn. So now we may not be able to exit. We have a beacon light, but now we have to navigate through parked cars, a sidewalk, and the normal flow of traffic. Now, as you know, our volunteers are only allowed green lights. It's simply a courtesy. They have a difficult time enough trying to get to headquarters to make sure we get the care that the patient deserves. I am really hoping there's something we could do collaboratively with the county to really do maybe a traffic study, rethink the sidewalks, because I personally was there and we don't have enough room to accommodate all of the above. It does need paving, but the sidewalks and the shoulders being extended, it's really gonna make that road treacherous. And I just hope, I'm looking for a guidance and maybe help from the town board to work with the county to make sure we have a collaborative solution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
All right, so Parker, you, I was skipping the last name, and then, you're followed by Kristen Mielenhausen?
Just looking at that sign. I like it. First of all, I really want to thank the board, because you guys do way more than I could ever do. I'm not organized, and you guys just, you're running out of time. You got a lot to do, and most of it is free time for you. I would never be able to do that. And I think we all appreciate what you guys do, and I just want to, and Mr. Martell, Ms. McNamara, last night I was at the meeting, you guys said exactly the right things. We were like, you almost got a standing ovation. This is all about the Bass things, and we need to look at that. And by the way, Mr. Steinerman, when you walked out of the meeting like 2 meetings ago, you said, I wouldn't mind living next to one of those, and nobody bought that. Nobody, because nobody in Hampton Bays wants to live to that. You live in Southampton, you live in a different world. I mean, I know you govern our world, but nobody wants to live in that. And when you start looking at this, I didn't realize this until I went to the planning session a couple of months ago, and they had the team come in that was, I thought they're experts. I thought it was the experts, and they were going to explain to us why this is not a bad thing. But I was a sales rep for Oracle for a long time, and my job was not to know what was going on with the stuff. I would bring a team in with me. I would bring, quite frankly, Donna, and she was one of my systems engineers, and we would come in, and our whole goal was to be the experts on the subjects. But we were salespeople. We were there to tell you why this is great and why everything worked. And I gotta tell you, it was a great presentation, but when we all went back and looked at what they said and looking at lithium batteries and the noise they make, the danger they can have, and nothing's like, it's probable, so it might be, it's probably not gonna happen, it's probably not gonna happen, but that's, I think what they were saying when they went down in the sub to look at the Titanic a week ago. I think they said that before they went down. It's probable, you gotta sign this thing, you might die when you're going down in this thing, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And sure enough, when things happen, it's a catastrophe with these lithium batteries. I know we've all seen this on television. All these little things, you get a little and these guys said, oh yeah, it's dangerous, but it's a different technology. This is a different technology. Well, his was a different technology too. And it failed miserably. And when it fails miserably with a lithium battery. It's hard to put out. It's an explosion. I mean, I saw this thing, it incinerated. It was like one of our fire department. The fire department, by the way, that's under where they do their testing. That's now what do they call that? A
Superfund site.
Yeah, that site. And that's what we might call the site that we're thinking about putting all the lithium batteries. I'm just urging you, please, please, please. I know you guys try to do the right thing. Do the right thing here. Somebody bought this land and decided this is going to be a great site for the batteries. There was a picture yesterday that somebody handed out. I'm sure you guys saw the picture they handed out at the meeting of the radius that is in danger if this thing goes. Fortunately, my house is not in that radius.
3 minutes.
But I'd like to be able to drive over the canal to get out to go surfing at Shinnecock East every once in a while. So that would be a good thing. Please, please, please stop, take a deep breath. When we were at the planning session, I thought we walked out of the planning session and they said, yeah, we're gonna give this a one-year moratorium and we're really gonna look at it. And I was very surprised to hear that the board voted unanimously to go ahead with the thing and put it behind Mashut Park, where I like to go have a beer every once in a while. I
4
bike, by the
minutes.
way, I don't drive. So, we'll get this, my time must be up. I apologize, I'm not
Thank you.
paying attention. Thank you again
Thank you.
for you guys helping out, and you two especially, that was awesome. And
Parker, how do you say your last name?
Schwauernicht. I'll spell it for you.
I have it on
Thank
the
you. We got
card.
it.
It's right
We
there on
have
the card.
it. We
T
have
is
it.
in Tom, R-A-U-E-R-N-I-C-H-T. It means
And you
without
spe- and you
sorrow.
spelled it right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right,
Hi to
so
everybody.
I see you, Kristen. Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
The next speaker is Patricia McKee. All right, go ahead, Kristen.
So hello to everybody, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to communicate again about our feelings about things and our thoughts. So following up on that whole explosion in Ms. Craneborg was kind of apropos, because that was pretty much a mini catastrophe, a mini powder keg moment, at which off-gassing. She's talked about a lot of things that are plaguing people in my little residential community of Hampton Bays. And we know that you are elected officials that have appointed planning board officials, and we know a lot lies in your hands. So we are asking you to really rethink this. I learned a lot. Negative declaration, a quick definition, which I'm sure you all know, but I don't know if everyone else does. When a city council or local government determines that a proposed project or development will not harm the environment, the developer is not required to prepare and submit an environmental impact report. Blew me away. You have a canal that goes to both bays. The Shinnecock Restoration Project just got all these accolades. If there is runoff into these waters, then what happens? We are the baymen, okay? I don't really see the bayman seal on the wall, but we are the baymen. We care about our local waters. We also learned last night from Kevin McAllister that this is a flood zone. That's a big deal when we have lithium batteries. Salt air, corrosion. We can go on and on. But my colleague, Jason Argiro, he said it best. And I'm sorry, but I do have to read his letter because he couldn't be present. He's a hospitalist at Southampton Hospital. Firstly, I request that the town board make this letter part of the official record. My name is Jason Argiro. I own and reside full-time at 75 Old Canoe Place Road in Hampton Bays with my wife, Christine, and 2 young daughters, Georgie, 4 years old, and Marina, 2 years old. And I work at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital as an attending hospitalist physician. I'm assistant director to the inpatient medicine of Stony Brook Southampton Hospital, and I'm assistant professor of clinical medicine at Stony Brook University's Renaissance School of Medicine. While I applaud your efforts on seeking renewable energy sources to bring to our community in the future, I am alarmed by the proposed location of this lithium battery facility on North Road, which is in the middle of a residential area and 3,000 feet from my home. Below, I will quickly outline my concerns. 1, fire. This area has been plagued by the devastation of the southern pine beetle and is full of dead pine trees that could provide excellent timber for allowing for fire to quickly spread. Currently, there is no plan or effort on behalf of town, county, or state to remove these fallen trees. These trees are on public and private property. My 1.7 acre land alone has hundreds of these trees, which are too large and expensive to remove on my own. I'm in the same position. Off-gassing, and he quotes this all scientifically. Off-gassing of lithium
30
batteries
seconds.
fires emits toxic fluoride and phosphoryl fluoride gas, which is lethal to humans after 10 minutes of exposure at a concentration of only 170 ppm. C, evacuation of the immediate area and entire South Fork would be impossible if a catastrophic event were to occur due to the facility being located on an 1,800-foot stretch of land between the only 2 roads and train tracks that leave our peninsula.
Sitting in traffic for 10 minutes with direct exposure to off-gassing would be lethal. Lithium fires cannot be extinguished by water. Then he goes into water. The proposed location is only
Kristen, you
500
have
feet
to wrap up. You're
from the
past the 2
Shinnecock
minutes.
Canal, and the runoff from the facility would be a direct concern to our marine life. And then he gets into well water, which we all have in our community. We have well water. No impact studies when people have well water, when we have marine life, when it's in a flood zone. It doesn't make sense. And it's okay if you made a wrong decision, but it's also really good to correct it. You have the power to do that. You have some influence over the planning board, and we beckon you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Patricia McKee passed. So next up is Joyce Metzger. Joyce will be followed by Margaret Freelander.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Joyce Metzger. I also live on Cedar Point Road, along with a couple people back there. And it may be somewhat redundant based on what some of the other people have said, but repetition makes for understanding. It's been approximately 3 months since and as it turns out, many of the citizens of Hampton Bays learned of a plan to build 3 BESS facilities in our hamlet. During these 3 months, many of us have been gathering information on these facilities. What we have learned is alarming, regardless of what type of lithium battery is used. During these 3 months, we have learned that the technology is new and largely unproved, and has led to catastrophic events involving explosions and fires. During these 3 months, we sought to learn why the town of Southampton would allow such facilities to be located in residential zones in Hampton Bays, when it is clearly recommended by other municipalities that BESSes be sited in industrial areas. Questions about the appropriate location of these facilities raised to the town during these 3 months succeeded in their agreeing to a moratorium for 2 of the Hampton Bays residential sites, pending the garnering of more information, but not for the site on North Road, because we were told, quote, it was too far along to be stopped, end quote. What a lame excuse when the safety of your citizens and the environment are threatened. The safety and environmental issues arising at the site are consequential. 24-26 North Road in Hampton Bays is mere feet from hundreds of homes and businesses. It is less than a half mile from the Shinnecock Canal, the Peconic and Shinnecock Bays, and the county park at Mashwood Beach. 24-26 North Road is mere feet from Route 27, Montauk Highway, and the Long Island Railroad. A catastrophic event would impact these roads and potentially prevent the evacuation of every person east of the Shinnecock Canal. Simply stated, I and the 2,000+ signatories on the change.org petition that is being circulated do not believe that 24-26 North Road is suitable for a BESS, and we urge the town to find a more appropriate industrial site. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Freelander is next, followed by Mia Millenhausen.
Margaret passes.
You're passing, Margaret? Okay. Okay, so Mia is next, followed by Luna Neary, if I'm saying that right? Neary Luna. Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you for hearing us tonight. I really appreciate it. So tonight I'll be speaking about the BESS facility. As someone young in the community, I think to me it's especially alarming, you know, planning for my future, planning for where I soon will live and start a family. Being around such a facility that could pose so many dangers that are so unknown, as none of us are true experts in this area, is something that has really been disheartening to me and really scary and genuinely just really terrifying to me, because there are so many unknown things that we aren't experts about. I personally, as well as people I know, have spoken to hundreds of people in the community thus far. We have thousands who have signed against this because we don't feel that this is representative of what our community is seeking. We understand that we need to turn to renewable sources of energy, absolutely. But in such a populated area, it is just such a danger, as so many people have already spoken. On the map over here, I can point to you. This is where the facility would be, and I live right over here. I'm sure all of you have
We
pointed
can't,
to your houses on this map.
we can't hear you without the mic, sorry.
And we actually can hear you, but the recording and the people watching from home cannot hear you. So.
I'm sure that everyone could point to their homes on this map. Mine is less than a mile away from it, and that's not a case of not in my backyard at all. It's really a case of looking out for the best interests of our community. Absolutely, maybe these are good, but just the location being so close to the bays, not having an environmental study, I mean, that's pretty scary in itself. I mean, why is that being shut down? And as our elected officials, I am coming to you from our community, not just myself, and asking you to really think about the impact this could possibly have on our community. You know, especially, I think that anyone, whether, you know, you're just starting off your career in a family or whether you have generations below you, you want to make sure that your family is protected and living in a safe environment. And I do not believe that the best facilities poses a safe environment for families to be around. So my question to you is, whose best interest are you really looking for? The citizens who elected you to represent us, or an ulterior? That's my question to you. So I urge you to think about that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, so Neri Luna, followed by Jock Comer.
Good evening. My name is Neri Luna, and I'm a resident of West Hampton Beach. Just out of curiosity, how many on the board speak fluent Spanish?
Yo, un poco.
And from my personal observation, I don't really see that many Latinos in here. So this flyer actually we made, and we passed it around to different local businesses in Hampton Bays, and we even went door to door to tell the families who, because of the language barrier, do not know what's going on. So I will read to you what I have on here. Esta es una planta industrial que se está estableciendo contra una comunidad residencial. Esto no pertenece a las familias y sus hogares, periodo. Esto no pertenece a ninguna área recreativa como Meshup Beach, Shinnecock Canal o nuestras bahías, periodo. Esto no pertenece a restaurantes, hoteles y negocios locales, periodo. Nadie ha explicado suficientemente los riesgos y peligros y cómo se tratarán. Demasiado es desconocido e incierto, periodo. Las juntas municipales de Southampton deben dejar de tratar a la gente de Hampton Bays con desprecio, periodo. Ya basta. Por favor, únase a nosotros para firmar esta petición para que podamos proteger nuestros hogares y nuestras hermosas bahías. Escanee el código QR o vaya a www.change.org y busque Best Hampton Bays. Firma y comparte la petición. Gracias. I don't need to summarize to you in English because I went to my first ever Hampton Bays Civic Association meeting last night. Thank you, Sydney and Mr. Rick Mortel for being on our side. It's actually astounding how you guys have been able to approve of this. I heard you guys care about your grandchildren. When was the last time you spoke to them, or just the younger generation? Because I can tell you right now, the youth does not want this in Hampton Bays. I also went with Mrs. Meilenhausen, and we went around passing the flyers, as I mentioned, to the local businesses. And when I explained to a Latino family that we spoke to, I wish I could have snapped a picture of their faces. Their looks were of horror. And the first thing that came up was their children. And how are they going to live, being a couple houses from where this project is the proof side of it. One last thing I have to say is it's actually pretty comical just sitting here and looking at the faces of the people power, the exception being Rick Mortel and Sydney, who approved of this, and compared to those who don't have the power and they have to live with the repercussions of something that you guys put forward, and you won't have to deal with it. Thank you.
right, Jock Comer, followed by Josh Parlakis.
Good evening, Town Board, and good old friends. My name is Jock Comer. I live right near Wildwood Lake. I'm sorry, all deference to the folks that are here for the best information, and to the Hampton Bays residents. My sympathies are with them for sure. But I'm here just to ask the Town Board a fairly simple question based upon the resolution that you guys were talking about, which is where are we at now with respect to the parking at the Wildwood Bowl facility?
Yep.
The parking restrictions that
Yeah,
you all.
so we're voting on it tonight.
Yeah, it's on
for
resolution,
tonight.
right?
Good, so
Yeah.
that comes.
The parking by permit. We didn't have the Zoom last meeting, so we had to delay the vote
Correct.
till this meeting.
Correct. Appreciate that. Also, it comes at a very important time because already the summer season is heating up, and already the area is starting to show signs of stress. And that's not just at the Wildwood Bowl site, it's all the way around the lake on the other side as well. And I know that this is a multi-jurisdictional problem, but I'm telling you right now, it's a very important one for you all to solve. And having not gotten the chance to actually purchase the property and do something for the town, a facility that's plainly partially owned by the town and administered by the trustees as well, that's a very huge missed opportunity. But now this opportunity must be seized insofar as you're trying to protect not only the people that want to go there and are not able to because they're not town residents or don't have a permit, but also the folks that are plainly trying to enjoy the lake, that are supposed to be there and can actually afford the permit or can afford to be there. So the enforcement issue is going to be, I think, one of your most important items, especially once this takes effect, hopefully as of tonight. And enforcement is going to be very important because it's going to have to send the right message to not just our community, but to all the folks that want to use the lake, understandably want to use the lake. It's a beautiful jewel in our Southampton town. I've always thought that. I've always told my students so. But if it's not used properly, it will, number one, it'll cause problems, not just for the town, but for people as well. It will certainly cause problems legally, and it will also cause problems practically. And if it's not backed up with parking enforcement, code enforcement, and with permit enforcement, then you're going to lose what actually could be the turning point in the use of this resource. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Josh, you're next, followed by Gail Lombardi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Palakis. I live at 259 East Montauk Highway. Most of you here recognize it as the Hampton Maid. Third generation family there. I have fourth generation. I have an 11-year-old, an 18-year-old who just graduated. And I'm truly concerned about the future of our neighborhood if this is implemented. And if it is, I question my future here. I question my family's future here. My friends are thinking the same thing. And they want out before this bomb goes off, because once it goes off, property values are going to diminish. And it's better to get off before the bomb goes off. And you guys are going to implement this. You're going to drive people away. And it just makes me want to leave a place that I've called home and 2 generations before me have. I think you guys are crazy to approve this without any knowledge on the subject matter. You should be appalled of yourselves. You do not represent our views. Shame on all of you for saying yes and letting this all go this far. You need to do everything in your power to backpedal and make this right. I hope you do the right thing.
Right.
Hi, good evening.
Gail is followed by Ray D'Angelo.
Oh, wow. Okay, good evening. My name is Gail Lombardi, and I've been coming to this town board for almost 8 years now, since John Bouvier and Jay Schneiderman were elected. And I can't be any proud of the people of Hampton Bays right now for standing up for themselves. Because Ray D'Angelo and I have taken hits for years trying to stand up for the people of Hampton Bays. And this is a watershed moment that I'm hoping this town board actually appreciates. And thank you, Cindy and Rick. You walk the walk. You both live in hamlets. You don't live in villages. you have to live with the consequences of your decisions. Where people on this board live in villages, and they have no skin in the game. And people who propose these zoning don't live in the town of Southampton. They certainly have no skin in the game. So we came to you, Ray and I have come to you for years, saying there's a systemic problem with the way you do zoning. My mother had an expression, here's my butt, my head is coming. You start thinking it, you make decisions, and then you try to figure it out after the fact. This is huge. This should have been thought through. It was only you're one of 4 townships in Long Island that have approved zoning. Obviously, people are thinking it through, and you guys approved it 2 years ago. So now we have to admit that you made a mistake. You have to admit that you have to go back, and thank you, Cindy and Rick, for coming to that conclusion and looking for a moratorium and trying to go back and do the right thing, because you will lose a lot of good people in Hampton Bays. And that's not what Hampton Bays is supposed to be about, and it's not what the town of Southampton is supposed to be about. And just on a separate note, I see the resolution that I resigned from the CAC. And again, this is no reflection on Rick and Cindy, because Rick and Cindy have been nothing but forthcoming, wonderful liaisons with Hampton Bays. We've had our differences. Cindy and I have had our differences. Rick and I have had our differences. But that's okay. That's what life is about. But they've been wonderful. I think now the CACs, specifically Hampton Bays, wasn't representing the community. And there were lovely people on it, but they weren't representing the community. The Civic Association, as these people have pointed out, have really come into themselves and attracting a diverse group and hopefully coming into where we are representing the community, whether we agree or disagree. This is a huge issue. Please take the moratorium way more than 3 months. Take a step back, look at it. Don't lose good people at Hampton Bays. Thank you so much for all these wonderful people that showed up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ray D'Angelo's next.
Losing weight over this. Ray D'Angelo, Hampton Bays. It was always nice to see you guys. I see that Tommy John is not here today. So keeping score, we have Rick and Cindy on our side. Then we have the gang of 3. We have to convince you guys to do the right thing, the intelligent thing to do. I just want to review something which I find kind of amazing. Is recently we had a 80-pound bucket of chlorine tablets explode here in Southampton. And Mr. Burke, who's not here, who I have a lot of respect for, he's quoted in the paper, he says, as saying, Burke said how the homeowner running a commercial business on the site puts himself and puts his tenant and his neighbors in danger. It's a perfect example as to why we separate residents from commercial enterprises from residential enterprises. Now, I don't know what happened, but how the acceptable use ended up in a residential, a best unit, which is in an industrial facility, ended up as a approved residential use. Is this really, I don't know how this thing's happened. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff happen with you guys. You know, we had the neutralization things. I don't know how these things happen. I mean, doesn't anybody read anything here or really think these things through? Now, my next comment is I'd like to address this to Mr. Bouvier. Mr. Bouvier is quoted in the paper, and he's doing a lot of lobbying for this. I thought there was a firewall between the town board and the planning board, but I guess it isn't, so that's why that's out now. We understand that doesn't exist. The councilman attempted to clear up a misconception. He explained that the type of technology that would be used in the proposed BEST is a lithium phosphate battery. Now, I reviewed all the public hearings. I reviewed Mr. Paul Rogers' testimony. He's the expert. He's a retired lieutenant from the New York City Fire Department. He was their expert. He talks about the 9040A lithium-ion battery testing protocol. He never mentioned this battery. And I can't find anywhere where this was mentioned, other than your assertion. Now, either you have a special relationship with them, or it's not the appliance of choice for this facility. That battery It weighs more, so you need more of them. It doesn't hold voltage as high, it doesn't hold as much voltage as the lithium-ion battery. So my question to you is, where is this coming from? You know, and second, why are you making these comments to lobby for this thing? Really? When probably they're going to use the lithium-ion battery, which is cheaper and is more appropriate for this type of application. These are unhelpful comments. You made the other comment when we was here last time, oh, there's hundreds of thousands of these facilities, where really there isn't. There's like maybe 300. I don't even think there's 300 of them. The one that's owned by NextEra Energy in East Hampton is only 5 kilowatts. It's a much smaller facility. This is a mega facility, 30 storage containers. This is not a small facility. This is an industrial-sized facility thrown right on top of these people. It's the most outrageous thing I've seen. It's irresponsible on your part as an engineer to make these comments. When I challenge you to explain.
30 seconds.
I'm going to go over how we got to this point.
I'm going to leave.
All right? I mean, really. So, I mean, I'm going to give you the opportunity to retort what I'm saying, but I don't know. I went over all the testimony. The only thing I really came out with was that my hair was much longer at that time. I have gotten a haircut since then. But no one ever mentioned this lithium ferric phosphate battery, which I agree. I'm not arguing the point. It has a lower fire profile, a lower profile in this explosive profile. I agree with that. But it's not the battery of choice for this type of facility. Okay, and that's all I have to say. I mean, really, this is a matter of safety. This is not some type of thing where these people are up here that you want to put in a 7-Eleven, or they don't want the exit or the entrance to the 7-Eleven, or they don't want it on their corner. This is a matter of safety for them and their families. And it's totally irresponsible on your guys' part, except for Rick and Cindy, because we have their votes now. The gang of three, one of you guys has to do the right thing and come across with this. I know that you're big with, we're not climate change deniers. I know you're big with sustainability, but this is the absolute wrong location for this facility. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to our online audience. If you wish to be heard in public portion, now is the time to click the raise hand icon, and we'll bring you on.
See no hands.
Okay, because everybody came. Here, so if you haven't already spoken and you're here in the audience and you wish to be heard, sir?
My name's Frank Spring. I live on 8 Hildreth Place.
What's the last name?
Spring.
Spring.
I have a big issue. I was a New York City fireman. 9/11 happened. Before 9/11 happened, 92, we had a big bomb. That bomb blew up the whole inside of the building. You couldn't believe that the building didn't come down. They said, never can come down. This building can never be hit unless it gets hit from the outside. That's exactly what happened. Guess what? All the firemen that went up there died. They died for the people of New York. What are you going to do when someone comes over here and that lithium batteries goes into an explosion and you got all those toxic fumes? All these volunteers, ambulance, police, fire department, all respond to this thing. And you know what they told me? Sitting on a pile, they says, you got 17 minutes of air. Don't worry about it. Everyone's going to be all right. They gave me 6 months to fucking live. 6 months. I'm still alive. How are you going to get these volunteers to go in there and sacrifice their lives and possibly get cancer? Think about it.
Thank you, sir. You've already
I'd like to request that
you've already
the best
spoken.
facility on North Road is added to the moratorium. That's
Yes. Okay, you've already spoken. I heard what you said, though. You'd like the moratorium to include that facility. All right. Is there anyone else who has not spoken, who wishes to be heard? Ma'am in the back row?
Hello again.
We get your name?
I'm Kristen Howlett. I spoke about a week and a half ago, your last hearing. The applicant is proposing to put in one of the largest facilities out of the 300 completed grid-scale lithium BESS sites in the world, 300 yards from residents' houses in Hampton Bays. Of all the places in the world, this site, 528 yards from my house that just burned down last November, does not belong there. The highway, so close, the beautiful Mesha Beach, the canal with its boats and yachts nearby make this location neither sparsely populated or remote at any time of the year. The area has many tourists visiting as well. You have the newly completed Canoe Place Inn nearby and the Hampton Maid. It would end up hurting the environment more than helping it. Fires could spread to the trees and then the houses fast with heavy winds. That's how the fire spread so fast at my house on Dunes Road, just 528 yards away from this facility. What about if some arsonist or a saboteur decides to set a fire there with the 4-foot chain link fence as their proposed security around the perimeter of the facility? Then what? Another location with wide open land, no trees or houses to catch fire would be best. This is what the rest of the world's best facilities consider when locating sites, and this board should too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else who has not spoken? Okay, I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to resolutions. You guys are welcome to stay or leave. If you're gonna leave, please exit quietly. All right, so we are, Rick.
So Town Board Resolution 800 of 2023, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone. Resolution authorizing enforcement action at 1 Squires Pond Road, unsanitary condition, water supply.
What is the status of that now? Are you withdrawing it or moving it?
No, we're moving it.
Okay,
We had
that's
to keep it open because of the.
Excuse me, is there no, like, we're gonna look into this? We don't get that?
We're gonna discuss the moratorium bill when we get there.
Okay, so you are gonna look into it?
Should we take it out of order?
We're going,
It's just for public hearing, this current one. Then when we have a public hearing, we'll be able to discuss it to what degree you guys want.
Just walk out here with nothing.
no, you can stay. We have a bill on that will authorize a public hearing for a moratorium. That's the only thing that we have on the agenda on it. I mean, obviously, you've given us a lot to think about, to consider, and that's what it's all about. And we're all public servants, and we appreciate all of your comments and taking the time to come out and tell us what your concerns are.
Clarification, please, you're going to authorize.
There's one related resolution in our packet tonight, which is, Cindy, it's toward the end, right?
It is 857 of 2023. It's a notice of public hearing to enact a new Chapter 316 entitled Moratorium on Battery Energy Storage Systems to prohibit new applications pursuant to 330-162.21 of the Town Code for 3 months.
We can take that out of order, but we have one that we're in the middle of right now, so.
the vote on this?
Yes, exactly, so, all right, so this is Resolution 800. Rick, you've read it. Do we have a second on it?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman McNamara. And this situation still currently exists?
Yes.
And we're, okay. all
What they
right.
did minor, they turned off water, there's still things to be done.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's approved, so,
It's on page 34.
all right. so
No,
ma-
because there's other people waiting here too, so, yeah. Yeah, the next one.
Okay, we'll take that out of order too.
Well, that is the next.
It's next,
It
we'll just
is
do the
next.
next one.
Oh, I see, it's the very next one, all right, so let's do that too. Let's do that first. So, John, you want to read 801?
Yeah, that's Town Board Resolution 801 of 2023. It's a resolution of adoption amending Town Code Chapter 312-62 to implement a parking by permit only pilot program at Wildwood Lake Park for weekends and federal holidays, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, and Labor Day from May 15th to September 15th for a one-year period.
Second?
Sorry, we just need to amend the date that you have on page 7.
Page 7.
At the top of the page, it needs to be June 27th, today's date, rather than June 13th.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you just withdraw your motion. Make a motion to amend.
And
It would have to be changed on page 6 as well. Oh, wait, we had it. No, never mind.
Yeah, we're,
That's when it was.
it's just that one.
So what's the
No, just
change?
on-
It's on page 7?
Page
On
7.
page 7, at the first line on the top of the page is tonight's
Tonight's,
date.
right.
So
You
it's-
adjourned it to today before adopting it.
So it should say June 27?
Correct.
Yes. So I'll make a
6
motion.
p.m.
At 6 p.m.
So it's a motion by
To-
Councilman Bouvier to amend. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And, okay, so now there's a motion. John, you want to make a motion to approve as amended?
Yes.
And
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilman Martell. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, real quick. So this is the way we started the pilot programs in other areas of town when we had similar issues. You know, we have to take some steps in order because everything that we do, there is a reaction. We have to monitor what we're forcing into the streets and how people will react to the parking. So we'll be watching this closely. I also understand this past weekend, there was we've asked for more response to some of the issues, and I understand there's been very good response time, including as many as 4 cars at one time for some incidents. So we're working on it and continue to keep us in the loop.
The problem is, we're recording, and I won't be able to, I mean, if you just want to say it real quick, I'll repeat it.
Well, what happened this weekend?
What happened this weekend?
They're using the DEC.
They're using the DEC
Around the lake.
around the lake
To put rafts in, and then they would go to.
to
the
put
beach.
rafts in off the DEC launch
Right.
area.
Going to the beach. We called the state police, there was no response from the state police.
You called the state police, and there was no
Then
response.
Southampton, we called Southampton police, and they responded.
The Southampton police did respond. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure our recording got it.
I just really, we're hopeful that this pilot program helps solve that. You know, we did this with Wildwood Bowling Alley. Originally, we had them involved. It was actually it worked fairly well. Obviously, there's a lot more. Not, well, really? Because most feedback I've gotten is, yeah, it worked. Okay.
We can't really have this discourse.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say this is a good start, and let's go forward.
Okay.
That's why I was.
So, any other discussion?
No.
No.
I hope it works out. I hope it's successful. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, approved. All right, so now we're gonna.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Page 34.
34.
34. All right, I'll make a motion to take 857 of 2023 out of order.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman McNamara. This is a notice of public hearing on a moratorium on battery energy storage systems for 3 months. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Councilwoman McNamara, do you want to read the resolution?
Town Board Resolution 857 of 2023, notice of public hearing to enact a new Chapter 316 entitled Moratorium on Battery Energy Storage Systems to prohibit new applications pursuant to 330-162.21 of the Town Code for 3 months.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. So clearly, there's been a lot of public concern about these energy systems. And I was one of the people on the board when this zoning was enacted. You know, certainly battery energy storage is part of our future. As we move toward renewable energy, wind and solar, where we place these facilities and the technologies of the facilities, obviously, you know, public safety is a paramount concern. There's no question, none of us would ever want to put anybody in danger. We're all public servants. This moratorium would give the planning board some time, but it also would give us time to work with our planning department on any revisions that we think are necessary, particularly for these larger scale projects. However, as written, it does not include those.
It doesn't, but we could change that.
Is that what you're proposing? Because that's not what is here.
I don't know that there's support for that.
Okay, but,
It was asked for by the community very clearly this evening.
so there's,
I'd be happy to change it to include
okay.
the
but that's-
current, and there would still be.
That's not what's in front of us
That
right
is
now.
not what the notice is. So you,
You can make a motion to amend it and take out 314-5.2.
right, but then,
They could still come before, right? They could still come.
You're amending it on the floor. This is not the
But they
local law.
could-
You're setting a notice of public hearing. You can amend the notice of public hearing.
To remove
to remove
314
that portion.
I mean, I think on another day, if you want to consider that change, but I don't think it's necessarily fair to change it on the floor to
We can
include
listen to people as part of the public hearing, and we can always address it
at
at the end.
Yes, so,
I'm fine with that.
okay.
So
So,
what will be done? I'm not.
well, we can't have a conversation from the audience. Right
So
now,
this
the
would,
board
this
has to.
would set a public
debate this.
hearing for July 11th for a public hearing for a moratorium on battery energy storage. As it currently is written, it would not include, the moratorium would not capture the site on Canal Road, but we could, as a part of the public hearing, as far as public feedback, that could be changed and we could add that site
You'd
as
have to
well.
renotice a new public hearing, but
How would it be changed? At what
We-
point in time?
I can't, I'm just sorry, I understand your concern, but the board has to be able to conduct its business at this point. We had public portion, this is not public portion. So, we're debating a bill, the bill in front of us does not include that. It does set a public hearing, though, and the public will be invited to the hearing, and that.
And as a result of that public hearing and the feedback we get from residents, we could then remove that site as an exclusion from the moratorium.
Or you have to, I think you'd have to notice a new
You'd have
public
to
hearing.
notice the new.
If you-
Once you've already noticed this, if you do that later, you have to just have 10 days before
Yes.
on the final form, and you could do
Or-
that
or
then.
you-
Or
I
you
would
could
feel more
renotice. It's up-
comfortable
it's up-
than if there's gonna be another hearing, you know.
That's up to you.
But, I mean, the planning board right now has adjourned it indefinitely anyway.
Right.
So, I would say that, let's debate and decide on this resolution, whether there should be a moratorium. There obviously is another potential application that is being considered, but it's not submitted yet. This will stop that application from being considered.
And then we can have the discussion as to whether or not we want to include.
And this is
the
a
current.
3-month review.
Mhm.
And, you know, it gives us some time
start
to
us
look
on
at
the
the current
process.
code. So, all right. So any other discussion on
I can explain it after.
857? All right, so I'm going to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So there will be a public hearing on July 11th at 1 PM here at this location and remotely. And that would be a time, I guess, to make the case for expanding the moratorium. All right, we're going to continue on. We are at, I believe, page 7.
Page 7. Town Board Resolution 829 of 2023, co-sponsored with Council Scavone, to authorize the purchase of Kubota tractor from Malvie's Equipment Company Incorporated using New York State OGS contract.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Before we get to the next resolution,
Do you want me to read Tommy John's?
oh,
you're gonna read
Did I
Tommy
just miss
John's?
one?
No, I'm just asking who's gonna read Tommy
Oh,
John's.
Oh,
I'm more than welcome to if you want.
Yeah, John, do you want to read?
Sure.
John will read, but I just wanted, there are still people in the audience. Is there any other resolutions that people are waiting on?
Curtis?
Curtis is 847.
Oh, we'll get there in
Tim,
2 minutes.
Do we have the Maryland Boulevard? No, we
get
left
there in
that
2
open.
He
so.
looks comfortable.
yeah, he does, he looks really comfortable.
Tim, are you waiting on anything?
I just didn't want to be rude. Mr.
What?
I didn't want to be rude, I was just kind of enjoying it, so.
All right.
It's not rude if you really need to go.
All right, so Curtis,
He has
what
6
what
kids at
page?
home.
Oh, that explains it. Stay as long as.
Which, what resolution?
This is 847, rather, the multiplier for the income eligibility.
847.
Page 25. Home sales price and rental formula.
All right, so I'll make a motion to take 847 of 2023 out of order on page 25. It's
Second.
a, rental formula multiplier, second by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and it's now before us, John, do you want to?
Town Board Resolution 847 of 2023, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, is a 2023 home sales price and rental formula multipliers for units reserved for income-eligible households.
Second?
All right, seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. Any discussion? And this actually lifts some of the incomes, correct? And more
Yes.
people will be able to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
That's important because the housing costs are so high that even people with pretty decent incomes are priced out of the rental market and the home sale market. Yep. Okay. So this just adjusted the current HUD standards, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And AMI, the
A 130.
AMI has been updated.
Yeah.
And the AMI is updated. Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. All right. All right, so.
Where are we now?
I
We're on
think
page-
I'm-
We're on page 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
830.
830 of 2023, authorized purchases from Millbourne Sales Company, Inc., doing business as Millbourne Flooring Mills.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 831 of 23, authorized the purchase of general building maintenance services involving new construction, reconstruction, demolition from Renew Contracting and Restoration, Inc., using the Bay Shore Union Free School District contract.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 832 of 2023, co-sponsored Councilman Schiavone, is to authorize the supervisor to execute a lease agreement with Quadient for a DS 641 INT 2 SE folding inserting machine.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 833 of 23, authorize the supervisor to sign agreement to lease the premises known as 271 Flanders Road, Riverhead to New York. Is it Riverhead?
It's Riverside.
Riverhead, New York.
Isn't it Riverside?
No, Flanders Road is Riverhead.
No, it's
The
Riverside.
address can't be Riverhead. To New York, Long Island Head Start Development Services. Yeah.
But the address is not Riverside. The address, the mailing address is Riverhead.
The premise is known as 271 Flanders Road, Riverhead, it says. I think that's a mistake. I think it should be 271 Flanders Road, Riverside.
And then down here, it says 271 Flanders Road, Flanders, New York.
yeah.
But there's another one.
In the resolved.
Riverhead, known as 271 Flanders Road, Riverhead.
And then in the resolved, it says
Is there a
Flanders.
technical name of it as?
Technically, it's Riverhead.
Under Google, it says Riverhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
That's how the post office does it, but it does say
It
Flanders
is
in the
within the
resolved.
town of Southampton.
Lower it says Flanders.
It's
Uh,
definitely not in Flanders.
It's Riverside. Christine, I don't, it probably doesn't matter, but I would appreciate the title.
No, I can
Not-
appreciate that, but
not
if you
being-
Google it, it does say Riverhead. I would just then, if you're uncomfortable, leave it as Riverhead, but then add located within the town of Southampton, New York. Because it is within the town of Southampton, because that's why it's before the Crohan Center.
It's
Yes.
it's on the other side of 105. Isn't it? By
No,
T-
the Head Start?
TFC?
No. Yeah, it's by there, but it's on the.
Well, do you
It's
wanna make-
Riverside. I'm gonna change it to Riverside in the title. I'm gonna make a motion to amend, change Riverhead to Riverside.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to approve as amended, authorize, this is the Head Start Child Development, to lease it to Long Island Head Start and to the Child Development Services, and to the Children's Museum of the East End.
Same second.
Same second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. No, we're just changing it in the title, and we know which building we're talking about. It's the one that we own at 271 Riverhead Road. Flanders Riverhead Road.
Okay.
All right, yeah, that's fine.
Town Board Resolution 834 of 2023, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, to authorize the supervisor to sign a 2023 extension with Palmanock Environmental LLC for private or municipal markets for the disposal services of municipal solid waste.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 835 of 23, authorize the supervisor to sign a 2023 agreement with Munistat Services, Inc.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 836 of 23, authorize use of East Suffolk BOCES Cooperative Bidding Program.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 837 of 23, declare item surplus and authorize disposal of vehicles.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 838 of 23, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, 2023 notice to bidders for used 2021 Ford Transit passenger wagon.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 839 of 23, 2023 notice to bidders for printing of forms for fire prevention.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 840 of 23, accepts 2022 audited financial statements from the Rocky Smith LLP for the town of Southampton and authorized town clerk to publish notice of 2022 financial report.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 841 of 2023 accepts the December 31st, 2022 Community Preservation Fund audit from Cullen and Danowski LLP for the town of Southampton and authorize the town clerk to publish notice of the Community Preservation Fund financial statements and independent auditor's report.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 842 of 2023 amends the 2023 budget for various departments.
Second.
It's seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 843 of 23, authorize supervisor to sign statement of annual financial and operating information and file with the Securities Exchange Commission.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 844, 2023, accept resignation of Gail Lombardi from the Hampton Bays CAC.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Thank you, Gail, for all your hard work. Town Board Resolution 845 of 2023, accept resignation of Margaret Friedlander from the Hampton Bays Citizens Advisory Committee.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Again, Margaret, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Margaret.
Town Board Resolution 846 of 2023, resolution authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Southampton Village for use of the LRB pursuant to Town Code Chapter 143-14, cooperative agreements for administration and enforcement.
Is there a second? Seconded by, I'm sorry, Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Also, God bless you over there.
Town Board Resolution 849 of 2023,
48.
Missed 847.
847 we did.
You did that, 848?
Oh, yeah, no, you're
We
right.
did.
Oh,
Ray, we
It's
skipped that one.
848.
Yeah, you're on 849.
Yeah.
No,
We didn't do 848.
we didn't need to do 848.
Oh, 848 was good. Okay.
Town Board Resolution 848 of 2023, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone's authorization of cost reimbursement waiver for the Friends of the Big Duck Tag Sale fundraiser at the Blue Barn on July 1st, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Second, there's no missing the big duck, so
No, there
I
isn't.
apologize for that.
And we're doing this at the Blue Barn, just down the street. Isn't that a CPF property as well? Like, why don't they do it at the Big Duck?
I don't know. This is what they asked for.
So they might have the stuff stored in the barn.
Oh, maybe, okay. All right, so we have motion to all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Town Board Resolution 849 of 2023, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara and Supervisor Schneiderman. Waive showmobile fee for East Quogue Fire Department Annual Seafood and Beer Festival.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 8,
Town Board Resolution 850 of 2023, sponsored by Councilman Tommy John Schiavone, authorize Fire Marshal Joseph Hernandez to attend the New York State Fire Academy Training Introduction to Fire Investigation, July 17th to August 11th, 2023, in Montour Falls, New York.
Second?
seconded by Councilman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 851 of 23 appoints Charles Briscoe to planner position in land management.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and congratulations, Charles. 852 of 23 accepts resignation of a heavy equipment operator in the Highway Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 853 of 23 accepts resignation of a public safety dispatcher 3 in the Police Department.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 854 of 23 accepts resignation of Sarah Pleat, audio-visual production specialist in education and government cable.
I'll second that and like to make the comment that Sarah will be desperately missed.
She just did a video on the Hometown Heroes banner program. That was
Yeah.
just amazing.
She'll be very missed.
Yes, she's very good.
We haven't voted.
Yeah, so reluctantly, I guess. So we have motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 855 of 2023. Accepts retirement of police officer John Cooey from Southampton Town Police.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye,
Thank him for
approved.
his service.
Absolutely, on behalf of the town, we wish you the best, Officer Cooey, in your retirement, and thank you for your service. 856 of 23, notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of a portion of the lands of Villa JJILS LLC located at 212 Little Noyak Path in the hamlet of Watermill, New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. That hearing will be held July 11th.
857 was out of order.
857,
That was it.
already did.
One more, two more. Page 38.
So, yeah, we have 858, right?
Yep.
Of
On page
2023.
38, yeah.
On page 38. 858 of 2023, authorize the acquisition of the development rights at 771 and part of 791 Sagaponic Main Street, part of 135 Gibson Lane, 26, and part of 60 Daniels Lane, Village of Sagaponic, and amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the properties.
What is the 26?
I'm sorry?
What is the 26 after Gibson Lane?
26 and part of 60
Part
Daniels
and
Lane.
part of,
Of 60
Oh,
Daniels-
all of
That's
26,
an address,
okay.
26
Okay.
Daniels Lane and part of 60 Daniels Lane.
Okay.
This is,
Mm.
I believe it's total of
10 million.
$10 million, and it's a horse farm, but it's a very visible horse farm along Daniels Lane in Sagaponic. It's an area that is, land is very expensive there, there's no doubt. But this is a below market sale, and appreciate working with the Topping family on this. It's, I think it's important to preserve our heritage to acquire this, so I'm happy to support it. This is co-sponsored by all of you, so do I have a second on it? I don't
Second.
remember. Who seconded?
I did.
Cindy.
Oh, seconded by Councilwoman McNamara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Walk on.
All right. 859 of 23, authorize the acquisition of lands of Shorts Pond Associates, Marcia Held, Jane Held, and Linda Held, located at 264 Guyer Road and 1160 Scuttle Hole Road in the hamlet of Bridgehampton, New York, and amends the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. This is a total of 8.8 acres. There's also expensive area, $6.8 million. This, I believe, is the property that's sort of north of Atlantic Golf Course and has a trail linkage and some wetlands adjacent to it. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Can I just go back one and ask one quick question?
Yep.
On 858, it says the planning department shall be, the rights should be deposited to CPF for the Eastport South Manor School District.
No, that's incorrect. That was on what, on
On the village,
858?
yeah, on 858.
What page, Rick?
39?
39.
Yeah, that's a mistake. This is the Sagaponic School District.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
All right, so let's recall it. We haven't closed the evening, so we can reconsider. So I'll make a motion to reconsider 858.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Does it matter that that's how it was in the public hearing notice?
I don't think so. It shouldn't be an issue. I think we just got amend
Trying to
it.
find what you're talking about.
It's on page 39.
So let me withdraw the motion to approve. Let me make a motion to amend
Oh, here,
858
so.
of 23 to just correct the Scrivener's error, which is probably a cut and paste error, which should, is before the, I want to make sure I'm in the right, yeah, it's the Sagaponic School District in that area. It's Sag School.
I don't think there is a Sagaponic School District.
Can we double check that, or?
I think it's Bridgehampton.
It's Bridgehampton School District. They have they're,
Well,
or
unless
they're a
it's
feeder
partly of
district.
East Town, it might be.
They're a
part-
feeder district to Bridgehampton.
Yeah, but I don't think they have their own school district.
They have a school. They have a
Sagaponic?
Sagaponic school.
Who could somebody have access to
Google it.
GIS? Somebody checking? The school district boundary?
all I have that.
I have it in my office.
Hold on, Kim is working on it.
Any one of them, I think, right?
Okay, all right, here's what I'm gonna do.
There's the
Why don't you
Sagaponic Common School District.
Why don't you-
What
It's
I'm
a
gonna do-
public school
Yeah,
district.
Here's my amendment. Deposit in CPF Development Right Bank for the appropriate
School district, yeah, that's good.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, or for the corresponding school district, what language do you prefer?
Appropriate.
Appropriate.
Corresponding.
Make sure it
What you
goes
want?
to the right one.
Corresponding.
That's why you get the big bucks.
Corresponding, that works too.
Okay, so we're gonna just delete Eastport South Manor, and we're gonna say for
Corresponding.
the corresponding school district.
Catch, Rick.
All right, is there a second on the amendment?
Second.
Second by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I'll make a motion now to approve as amended.
Second.
Seconded.
amended.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Thank you, Rick, for catching that.
Yeah, it couldn't have really happened it couldn't have happened in the real world, but it's interesting. That was a good catch.
Okay,
Did you do the warrant?
Did we do the last one?
No, we didn't do the
Yeah.
walk-ons.
we didn't do the walk-ons yet, I'm just checking, double checking. All right, so, to the walk-ons. All right, 43663 ratifies suspension without pay and appoints a hearing officer.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. You guys are all familiar with this one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 43679 is warrant number 12, capital number 12, CPF number 12, and payroll liability.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. So that gets us to the end of our agenda. Again, our condolences to the Schiavone family on their loss. And is there any other business? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.